and we're on.
Hey, everybody out there in listener land, welcome back to Redemption HQ. Uh, Today, myself, that's Robert D., and Brobarian are going to be taking a little look at Rambo First Blood, both a overview of the film and a look at the cinematic adventure sourcebook for everyday heroes. A big shout out
Yes.
to our buddies Harlan and Spectral, who were not available to record with us today. But we want to be sure we wish them and everybody a happy new year, and just a really wonderful, safe start to 2025.
Very well, hopefully everybody's safe, and our on behalf of everybody here at the show, our hearts go out to everybody that's stuck in the blizzard all throughout the Midwest. Everybody who is being affected out in California with the wildfires that's devastating LA. We don't know if we have any listeners out that way. But if you have friends or family, or you are, our hearts definitely are going with you. Are definitely are with you. And if you are anybody who's still being affected by the hurricanes that hit the East Coast, um, certainly, there's a lot of devastation that's hitting our country, and hopefully our show gives you at least a little bit of a break from your troubles.
Here, here.
So, yes, we are going to be talking about Rambo. We're taking a quick break because of the other guys not being here. The second half of the Wise Hero class, we're going to put that off until everybody's available. And so, yeah, we picked Rambo to talk about because, dude, Rambo is fucking badass. He's a Green Beret. Those guys are badasses.
Seriously, this character, he is the Brute Squad.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my god.
I mean, in going straight into the First Blood film, you have one guy that manages to take on the entire town sheriff's department, plus a National Guard unit that gets called in, and a whole bunch of the locals that come out with shotguns and hunting dogs.
Mm-hmm.
The guy is a one-man wrecking crew in terms of sheer battle prowess and, wilderness survival ability. It is a fantastic action film and also a very incredibly intense psychological drama from the perspective of Rambo's character.
Yeah, it really doesn't take long too. It's like as soon as he's arrested by the cops for not doing anything wrong, just some sheriff wants to be king shit. Yeah, the moment he
Yeah.
sees the bars in the window, we start seeing the flashbacks of Vietnam and his capture
Hmm.
by the Viet Cong. It's a quick spiral,
Oh
quick
yeah.
spiraling out of control situation. It's awesome. It's good
And
storytelling.
oh, massively good storytelling, and the camera work was amazing, and like the bit where Rambo quite literally leaps off of a sheer cliff to dive into the frothing waters below. And well, he catches himself on some tree branches. I remember reading something that saying that when Stallone did that jump, he actually did try to catch himself on the tree branches and ended up cracking a rib. So when you see him landing and groaning in pain, that wasn't all acting. He was in a great amount of pain for that, and he still looked like he was legitimately kicking butt.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. He lands in and just you hear that crack in the rib. He's Jesus, and then he falls down and cuts his arm, and
Mm-hmm.
oh man, and then just the brutal part right after where he's running the fish hook and line through his arm. That's it
Yeah,
was inside the
emergency
his knife.
self field patch up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, emergency field medicine on himself is just wow.
Oh my god.
And when you mentioned the sheriff just strutting his stuff, really abusing his authority in the town in the film, I mean that guy his only real interaction with John Rambo was just seeing the guy literally just trying to stop and get like a cup of coffee and a quick bite to eat on his way through town. He had just found out one of his buddies was dead, and he was just trying to wander and find his way, like so many of the veterans that came back after the Vietnam War. he had gotten, quite frankly, abandoned by society and ostracized and vilified and treated horribly. This movie really showed a very harsh part of the way that a lot of American civilians showed a great deal of disrespect to those who had served.
Mm-hmm.
And also the movie seemed to go not just in that direction of showing the inhumanity of everyday society towards the folks who had suffered through so much in the war. It was also something of a biting criticism of how that particular war was run by the politicians and the higher ups and all that. Because I mean, when you get Rambo's old CO, his old commanding officer, coming in saying, uh, "Sheriff, I trained him. You are not going to find him. You are not going to catch him." And the sheriff starts going off about how dangerous Rambo is. He's what we made him.
And technically
That was
speaking, he slipped up because he didn't kill.
right. He was showing massive restraint in the midst of a PTSD episode and a violent fugue state. The character was showing a huge amount of restraint. He didn't actively go for the kill when
Mm-hmm.
he clearly had a bunch of folks at his mercy. I mean, heck, he even in the midst of his hypervigilance realizes that one of the folks hunting him is it's a kid, it's a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
and he actively like just tells the kid to get the hell out of there.
Or even when he takes over the army vehicle because it's the one with the M60 in the back. He's just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
he kicks him out and he's like, "Go home." Tells him like, "Hey,
Right.
no, go home, get out."
Yeah, it was, he knows that even in his current condition and state, he knows they're just doing the job.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything against them. He doesn't have anything against anybody really. He's just trying to survive, and he's been put in a position where he panicked, had an episode, and went on the run. If the folks hadn't kept chasing him, he would have been able to find a moment of clarity in the calm and the quiet to calm down and come out of it. But instead, they just keep going after him and piling on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's just that they're compounding their initial mistreatment and mistake throughout the entire film. And even when Rambo's old commanding officer tries to point this out to them, the sheriff won't even acknowledge how badly he bungled things up in the first place. There's a complete lack of self-awareness on the part of that character.
Oh, and he absolutely lies about it too, because yeah,
Oh yeah.
the statey, he's like calls him a bunch of assholes, and he's like, if one of my men mistreated that prisoner can come right up to me and tell me all about it. And it's like, no, man.
No, not that character.
Yeah.
Not that character.
But you know what? This movie had a great cast, and there is a hidden gem in their cast. I'm looking through the list right now. So, of course, we got Sylvester Stallone as Rambo, Brian Dennehy as the sheriff, Tessel. We got
He did a great job as that character.
oh my gosh, does he play a great a-hole?
Wow. Wow, he was good.
Yeah, Richard, I think it's Crenna as Troutman, Bill McKinney as Kern, Jack Starrett is Galt, Michael Talbot is Balford, Chris Mulkey is Ward, John McLeod is Orville, Alf Humphreys is Lester, David Caruso is Mitch, and David L. Crowley is Shingleton. Don McKay is Preston, and we got Patrick Stack as Lieutenant Clinton Morgan. But one of the here's a specialty. Here's the little hidden gem. Do you know who Guardsman number 5 was?
No, I confess I do not.
Bruce Greenwood. Do you know what Bruce Greenwood has played? Are you familiar with him?
I'm raking my brain, but I'm coming up blank. Please enlighten me.
Bruce Greenwood has been the voice of Batman in several animated movies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they had Batman
They
in
had
First
Batman.
Blood.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I'm looking through and I was like, wow, awesome. I can't believe that they had Bruce Greenwood. It must have been like one of his earliest roles. I know it's definitely one of David Caruso's earliest roles because, he is a baby-faced 20-year-old long before he got into, what was that, CIS Miami? He was the lead of.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
so. Yes. Yeah, he was barely recognizable. He was so young.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh my god, just really, really young. But you go through looking at all the names. I mean, Jack Starrett was another one too, man.
Mm.
He just played an a hole so good. So when he fell out of the plane, man, or out of the helicopter, because he's cracking shots at John Rambo,
Yep. And
man,
he's hunting.
yeah. But yeah, so for those of you who haven't seen the movie, which we highly recommend that you do, if you have an Xbox, I don't know if it's true on the PlayStation. I don't have one, but at least right now, for the next couple of days, I want to say they have it on sale for like $4.99, and I want to say you can find all the Rambos on HBO Max. I think you can find them all on there. Let me double check. I recommend if you're ever looking for a movie, this is unpaid sponsorship. If you're ever looking for a particular movie or TV show and you don't know what streaming service it might be on, you can save yourself some time and effort by going to reelgood.com. That is REEL good.com. You can go right into their search engine and type Rambo right on in there. Yes, sir. We've got that. First Blood. Clicking on that. And it tells me it's on Paramount Plus and Roku. There you go.
Oh, nice.
So, oh, okay. So Paramount Plus has it. Paramount Plus also has Universal Soldier. They just got that in, so I'm really excited about that.
Oh, I love that movie in a big way too.
Yeah.
So whenever we get around to doing that one, I will definitely be eager to put the 2 cents in and have an absolute fan fanboy time talking about the awesome fight scenes.
Oh my God, yeah. The now I was tempted to. I was tempted to almost put this episode on delay and do Universal Soldier before this one, because you brought that up, and I was tempted, but then my daughter woke up, and I was like, well, Rambo is kind of technically less gory than Universal Soldier. Not that it
Right.
Universal Soldier is
Yeah.
very, but there's a little bit more man butt, and a lot later on
there
in
is
that
there is
movie.
there is quite a lot of man butt in that movie. That is fair.
So
It was a Jean Claude Van Damme film in the '80s. That
that's true.
there was a lot of that in the '80s.
You
Oh my
know,
gosh, was there a lot of that in the '80s?
and I have heard this from another podcast because I listened to movie reviews about the Universal Soldier movie franchise in general, and I guess that was like a big thing for Jean Claude was
Hmm.
his fan base in particular were women and gay men, and he knew that. So he was never afraid to show his butt in any of his movies because he knew his
Wow.
fan base. And I was like, oh, okay. So,
You
well, that
know,
explains that.
hearing you say that, I don't know if you remember this, and this is way off topic from Rambo, but there was an episode of Friends where Jean-Claude Van Damme guest starred as a comedy version of himself that Rachel and Monica were fighting over,
Yeah.
and one of his parting lines in that guest appearance was, "quote I can crush a walnut with my butt." And just like, and I remember the first time I saw that episode, I was thinking, "What? What? Why?" But then hearing you say what you just said is okay. All right, I can see why he made the reference now. There was a lot of showing of the derriere in his films.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. But back to Rambo, back to Stallone and Rambo. There, yes, much less uh, butt in First Blood than in Universal Soldier.
No,
Oh
we're
yeah.
not completely free of it, of course. There is the, you know,
Oh no.
well, we said clean him up, so let's clean him
Yeah.
up. After after
That was a difficult scene to watch first time I saw the film. 'Cause that was just
yeah.
that was brutal.
Oh,
Yeah.
just getting a
And
nightstick right to the lower back. Oh
oof.
God.
Now it's I the if memory serves, one of the younger cops was trying to sort of say, "Hey, let's this seems a bit much. Let's tone it down." And then
Yeah.
he got heckled and shouted down by the others. It's I always respected that character for trying to see that no, that this is not what we're supposed to protect and serve. This ain't it. This ain't it.
Yeah.
So it's yeah.
And
And
of
boy, was that a powerful scene.
uh now when Rambo starts making his way through all the men, it's kind of heartbreaking that the one guy who's kind of being sympathetic towards John in the whole movie is the first one to get it, and man, he gets stabbed right in the back of the leg, and it's just like, oh man, what a way to get get
Ooh,
dropped.
oh,
It's not the
yes.
worst one, but it's definitely a bad
No, no, but
one.
he wasn't the first one, but he was the first one to go.
Yeah, definitely not.
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean, it's a bad. That was a bad way, but no, the pungy stick to the legs.
Ooh.
That was the
Yep.
worst one of
That,
them all.
there was a definite audible in my apartment when I was watching that part. Yeah.
Oh my god! The cop's just like he's calling out, "Well, well," and then like he's like, "Oh God, just kill me." I was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah."
Oh God. Oh boy, I tell you. Ah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
I have to say the Evil Genius, they were I think inspired when they chose the franchises and films they did for their cinematic adventures because
Hmm.
I don't I would be hard pressed to find a film of this genre like a war story drama that was as cinematic as First Blood and as quite frankly just beautifully set up for a for a more grittier quote realistic unquote everyday heroes game. I use
Yeah.
the term realistic with a little bit of little bit of not full Webster definition because it is an RPG game. It
Hmm.
is everyday heroes, but yeah, it really does it really does lend itself to some wonderful concepts for story hooks for characters, some great plot hooks for possible long-term campaigns, whether it's hey, one of our buddies from the unit has gone missing.
Hmm.
I kids haven't heard from him in years,
And
but he was sighted. We can go try to find him, try to get him some help, and then
yeah.
run into trouble with the locals along the way. Or heck, you could even talk about what if the CEO was not quite as kind as Rambo's CEO and was actively trying to re-recruit or even erase members of the old crew. There's so many cool plot hooks that you can go into in that sort of uh, Cold War era war story or veteran story.
Hmm. And one of the cool things about it too is it's a much more, if you're big fans of GI Joe, it's a much more grounded military fantasy, as opposed
That's
to
the
the
word
more
I was looking
fantasy.
for. Grounded.
Yeah, rather than
You're
the
absolutely right.
the fantasy the fantasy, the stronger sci-fi fantasy side like GI Joe does. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's you know, I like it a lot. It's and honestly, of all of the cinematic ones, I think that Rambo is at its core the closest thing to what Everyday Heroes is and what it can be, or
Mm-hmm.
as you're playing in just your own general adventure. This is kind of this really feels like
Mm-hmm.
what a game should be like. Um,
Right.
because a lot of the other ones they have a lot more fantasy
Oh yeah,
elements
fantasy
to it.
sci-fi elements. Yeah, like whether it's mutants in Total Recall, immortals and Highlander, cyborgs and Universal Soldier,
Giant
the giant,
monsters.
and that goes for both Pacific Rim and Kong.
Yep,
No,
exactly.
I hear you. This is definitely. I mean, you could make some arguments for Escape from New York to be in a similar vein, but even that had a very fantastical post-apocalyptic concept to it. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
this is meant to be, hey, this is something that could have been or could be. It's very grounded, like you said, very grounded.
Yeah, and that's it's definitely one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite ones. It's definitely within my top, probably within my top four of them. Kong is still gonna be my number one. I still love it because I love Kong, and the Crow. You know, the Crow's on there
Hmm.
too. But I would say, oh man, maybe Rambo is my third favorite.
I tell you, I'm a military brat myself, so it's definitely in my tops.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me it's probably Highlander and Rambo
Mm-hmm.
with kind of a three-way tie for third place with The Crow, Total Recall, and Universal Soldier because each of those has some amazing like sci-fi and fantasy elements that you can add to a game, and the
Mm-hmm.
worlds are very very intriguing. But I'm a history buff, and I'm a military brat, so the Rambo one really does pop in my imagination and in my heart. And Highlander again, history buff, and I'd say I'll gush about that when we do the Highlander one.
Oh yeah, and then another
I will be
because
gushing and making various impersonations of Sean Connery and Chris Lambert. I
I
can I can even with enough preparation try my hand at Clancy Brown's Kurgan. But
what and I'm hoping when we record it, man, I'm hoping I can find the get the clip of it of Christopher Lambert's Highlander laugh all throughout the movies. His like it's such a weird laugh. I, I
well,
was I was pissing
it's a
my
very unique laugh.
yeah. So somebody did make a smash cut of it. It's like 5 or 6 minutes
You're
long
kidding.
on YouTube. I was playing it for my wife, and she wasn't really paying much attention, but then she just kept hearing him laugh. And she looks up. She's like, "What are you watching?" And I was to explain it to her. She's like, "How long is this?" And I clicked up. We were only like a minute and a half out of five, like 5.5 minutes long.
Oh,
That's
we're
her
just getting started.
laughing.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, she was so mad. I just looked at her. Was like, oh man, I love that stuff.
I hear you. Oh boy.
Oh, it's glorious. But dude, but the Rambo though, Rambo's so much fun. You know, I gotta say, out of because Stallone movies always had that one song attached to it. You had Eye of the Tiger in
Hmm.
Rocky, or
Oh yeah.
Gotta Fly in the first one. Um,
Hmm.
I gotta say First Blood. I think the song that goes to it, um, I think it's kind of a sleeper hit to me out of all of his films. It's it's not quite as iconic as Eye of the Tiger.
Few
I
things
took
are, to be fair.
yeah, I think but it's definitely. I think people kind of sleep on it. You know, it's not
Hmm.
mentioned very often, in terms of his movies, but I do think that one is it's a pretty solid track that's worth people should go and listen to it. Like actually, just go find it on YouTube or whatever,
Hmm.
and just give it a listen. Just give it a good solid listen. I think people will come around to it.
Fair point. It has a great soundtrack. It really does.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'll openly admit I haven't gotten very far into the Rambo series. I missed my opportunity to go see the last two Rambo movies while they were in theaters. I was working a lot,
Hmm.
um, and
I hear you.
broke. As if
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
anything.
I definitely hear you there. Yep. Hmm.
You work hard to be
Yeah.
broke. And
Oh
so
boy.
I didn't get around to watching them, but I'm buying them up right now because they are on sale on Xbox. So I'm planning on buying them up, and
Oh
my
nice.
wife and I have been going through and watching them. We just rewatched the first one. We're gonna go through and watch the second and the third ones because I do already own those. But yeah, I'm excited. Which I'm excited for. Just so we can
Cool.
talk about the rest of them on the show too. That's
Hmm.
I'm
Oh
looking
yeah.
forward to that.
So like I've seen bits and pieces of Rambo 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I enough to know that in particular I think I believe it was Rambo 3 that let's just say it hasn't aged well with modern geopolitics. But Rambo 2 in particular was a fantastic action storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Really, to me, the storyline about trying to, look for the POWs that are still being that could
Hell,
still be alive but not reported, because that was actually a huge issue at the tail end of the Vietnam War when Nixon did all those peace talks with North Vietnam.
yeah,
A big sticking point was the return of prisoners of war from both sides,
yeah,
and there were massive numbers of MIAs, missing in actions, that were never acknowledged by North Vietnam's government at the time.
mm-hmm.
So there were, I mean, the number of films, novels, television shows, and true stories about people who just wanted to find answers, know if there was a body to bury, know what happened to their father, their brother, their son, their uncle, and as generations passed, their grandfather.
Yeah.
That one, to my mind, was a very big kind of love letter to those who had lost somebody in war. And whereas Rambo 3, he's going to help. He's going to help friendlies in the geopolitical Cold War that are anti-Soviet, but the friendlies at the time were Mujahideen
Yeah.
over in Afghanistan, and historically that's a very dicey and touchy subject in a post 9/11 world, because a lot of people forget that, well,
The,
the our side of the Cold War, the U.S., we supported uh, like warrior groups in Afghanistan against the Soviets during the Russo-Afghan War in the early '80s, and one of the groups we did support was the Taliban. Now that came back to bite us in the derriere in 9/11, but
twice. Yeah,
yeah,
twice.
quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
they
mhm.
attempted to bomb the World Trade
NYC
Center
and the
back in the early
Pentagon.
'90s. They detonated a bomb in the garage, in the
Yeah,
lower
that's the one
levels.
everybody forgets about.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the one everyone forgets about.
that
But yeah, so Rambo 3 probably would not go over well. I can imagine that you won't probably find any screenings of that one at local theaters.
you know.
But First Blood, Rambo 2, like you, I missed my chance to see the last two Rambo films in theater. But from what I've read
Hmm.
and from what my friends and family that did see them told me, those are really good action movies. And the last one in particular is a a very bittersweet but beautiful swan song to the character of Rambo, who has found some measure of peace, but the people he loves find themselves in trouble, and he gets pulled back in
Hmm.
to to the warrior's life, and ultimately a warrior's fate.
Yeah.
So it was yeah, the film franchise as a whole is one of those iconic things that come out of American cinema. And there was a cartoon show back when I was a little kid. It's now by the time I was actually old enough to understand the cartoon show and watch it, it was mostly on reruns. But it was like the Chuck Norris cartoon show and the Karate Kid cartoon show, and they were right up there with GI Joe back in the day. So like you said, there's actually a lot of things to connect the GI Joe franchise to Rambo, and I know GI Joe already has a wonderful RPG game from the folks over at Renegade Studios, but I mean, heck, if it, the chance to play GI Joe iconic characters and everyday heroes is quite frankly awesome.
Hmm.
I can already tell you that if I was to build, for example, a Snake Eyes character over here,
Hmm.
uh, for Snake Eyes, like a combination martial artist commando build
Hmm.
would be my first go-to instinct. And if you're gonna build Hawk or Duke, getting the wise hero commander, whether whether it's feat or whether it's the full class itself, that's got to be in there for either of those two iconic field commanders of the Joes. But again, we'll talk more about the commander when we do the Vault Wise Hero folk.
Oh yeah, and or if you want to play Spirit, the wise
Ooh,
hunter, you get that
yeah,
too. So
absolutely, absolutely.
I have seen some people in the Discord talking about that. They've talked about they're kind of made their own GI Joe game out of everyday heroes, which is awesome, and I would highly recommend it. So and this is coming from somebody who is actively being railroaded inside of a GI Joe game. Um,
Oh no.
I'm getting railroaded into my own character's death. The game is like it is fun, but the renegade system is it's got its ups and it's got its downs. That I will say for
As all of
certain.
them do. Oh yeah,
So
every game system is going to have certain really good, just blow your mind concepts that are there, and every game system is going to fall a little short of some expectations or some
yeah,
types of games.
I feel that their health system is the biggest weakness in that game, and that the only way to really gain health is you have to devote enough points into I think it was called conditioning because
Huh.
every pip is one HP, but that means that you have to put a lot of numbers into your strength in order
Ooh.
to build it up. But to have that extra health, now you have to sacrifice the rest of your points that you have. You know, you can't. You're not as good at
Mm-hmm.
doing other things that you might want to be good at, and
And all you end up with is a massive amount of health to take damage with, and not much else to work with.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
It's one of the it's
That's a
a
hard catch 22.
yeah, exactly. It's like there's a catch to having good health, and it's like, man, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, maybe at every level, some aspect of your character gives you an additional point of health every time you level up. You know, 1 point,
Mhm.
2 point, maybe 3 points if you really you pick something hardy. But yeah, I mean, being a level 3 character and you only have 3 hit points or 4 hit points, and you're gonna start
That's
fighting
rough.
bad guys that can do 2 3 points of damage. Seriously, one
Oh,
hit and you're
that's
out.
hard.
Like that's rough.
Oh.
Unlike everyday heroes where you get a everybody gets a pretty nice chunk of health. You get a nice good a nice bit chunk of
Mhm.
change to live off of. Not to say that it's impossible. That you can't be one shot killed. Definitely, smart heroes and charismatic heroes have that as a
They can run
major
that risk.
worry.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of them, most characters, there's a pretty good chance to survive, and not to mention how they handle body armor in Everyday Hero, where it's like it can protect you from that potential fatal shot that's gonna put you into the death spiral.
Hmm.
That's great. Renegade, it's like, yeah, you know what? You might just get dropped like a sack of potatoes in round one, and there's nothing you can do about it. Um, so that's one of the biggest. It's one of my biggest gripes about it, and it's the same no matter what game you play. Uh, Whether it's GI Joe's, Power Rangers is the absolute worst, and Transformers and My Little Pony. Which I don't know if you're gonna put death into My Little Pony, but there's just
Yeah,
it's still the
that
same
that
element.
that would seem a bit dark for a My Little Pony show. Or
My little war horse, my little war horse. But
I think there was a different cartoon show involving Centaur worlds, but
I think so too.
as far as the everyday heroes rules and such for the Rambo CA, one of my favorite things about the new heroic options in this CA, is the the military slash special forces career path
Mm-hmm.
that you can customize for your character instead of choosing one of the professions. Because then you can quite literally now there was always the military profession in the core book, which was an awesome cinematic way to give some really cool combat boosts and skills and equipment proficiencies early on. And then you have the military pilot and special forces operative professions in the vault, and well, of course, the special forces operative profession is in Rambo, the CA. but the Special Forces career path lets you dig a bit deeper. Now, the Special Forces operative profession is also a really good combat profession to choose, but you could literally choose between branches of service, whether the person was an enlisted person or an officer, and lest some folks at home not be fully aware, there are special forces units that have both enlisted and officers. In fact, I believe Air Force Pararescue tends to recruit a lot from the enlisted folk,
Hmm.
for example, and you'll find both uh, enlisted and non-commissioned officers and commissioned officers in just about every branch of the military special forces. So you can, and depending on the branch, you get access to certain skills thematically or certain equipment, and then you get a really cool selection of sort of build a feat combination situation, because every profession gives you a little sort of boost feat, sort of a mini feat that lets you have a situational advantage or cool thematic situation. And just like some of my favorites, you can get jump master training, which gives you acrobatics and the death from above ability. That's, oh, you have advantage on acrobatics checks made to control a parachute, hang glider, or wingsuit. And by the way, usually you get disadvantage when making ranged attacks from something moving like that. You don't, because you're trained. I am quite literally flying, squirreling it down in my wingsuit, and I'm going to quickly grab my pistol and pop off an attack before I wingspan out again to slow my descent. That's just really cool. That's the Mission Impossible type stuff.
Oh yeah, it's so cool.
So oh yeah, love Jump Master, and but they even have, again this is a nod to no, to pararescue forces here. The In addition to Jump Master, if you wanted to build a pararescue guy, you could do Jump Master training with medical technician training as the two minor feats you choose, which are it's just great. It's so versatile. You can create any type of special forces training focus that you want for the character's background and abilities. I think that's fantastic, personally.
Hmm. And they differentiate between the enlisted and the officers, so
Absolutely.
you can play through. Now, is that you who's listed in the evil aggressive entomologist list?
Oh, let me see here. Yep, that's me. Yep, I am in the evil aggressive entomologist list. In
Okay.
fact, I'm the last one on that list. There's my name there, Robert DeBrock.
Yep.
Yeah, I I volunteered to be an entomologist for the vault for I think I was also let me flip through my copies because I'm definitely uh, I'm actually, yeah, I think my name is in a number of these.
Hmm.
I'd forgotten about that. But no, I am I'm very passionate about this game system and about gaming in general. So when they put out the call in the Discord, hey, anybody want to do like some volunteer proofreading and such? I believe my initial response was, oh dear God, yes please. Uh, uh, oh my gosh, wow, yeah, yeah. I'm also listed as an evil aggressive entomologist in the vault.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, see,
I had completely forgotten that my credit was in there.
see, listeners, we have evil genius royalty amongst us.
Oh no, 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 no. This is more like being the royal stable master more than it is actually being a member of the royalty. I'm royalty adjacent, let's say.
I'll tell you though, I mean, this is really one of the best crafted books in general. Just like a lot of the art, the interior art. Like if you open it up to the very back, go towards the back of the book and then flip backwards, you get that nice double page spread of the classified, and it's
Hmm.
Rambo knocking an arrow. Oh man, like that's a
It's beautiful,
poster. That
right
should be
there.
one of their posters, man. That's pretty
I
dope.
would buy that poster. And as we both said, we're both not exactly what you would call swimming in it. I would gladly, I would gladly buy that poster.
Yeah. Oh man, hands down, definitely. That's one
Hmm.
of them. I want to get that because I do want to get the Kong Skull Island cinematic poster that they printed. I
It
want to
is
get that
epic,
one. I want to
very
get
epic.
the. Oh my god, it's so cool. I want that so bad.
Hmm.
That was a great design. And I want to get the I want to get the crow bandana that they just released, and then
Oh,
that.
the one with the Mastiff returned
Mm-hmm.
imagery. Oh yeah, that looks really cool.
It does. That looks so cool, and it's pretty affordable. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's only maybe, was it like 13 or 15 bucks, and I think shipping and handling is not too crazy for it. I want to say
Hmm.
it's like about 3 or 5 additional bucks,
Right.
and I want to say since I am a backer, I think excuse me, and since
Okay.
I'm a backer, I think I get the 5 or 10% off on it too.
Yeah, I believe yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
because yeah, I'm fairly certain that yeah, because I was in the Kickstarter backer situation as well, so I think that yeah, we would definitely do that. Uh,
so
I think I've actually bought everything physical in terms of books in the series up to date though, so I haven't had too much opportunity to use that yet. But when Intergalactic Heroes and Everyday Arcana and the Armory come out, I'll be sure to remember that discount.
it's sometimes a little hard to pick between shopping on their site and shopping on Amazon because it's like, some you get the
Mm.
like, especially when it comes towards Kong Skull Island. I mean, you can get it for $7.99 on Amazon. Like, that's
Really?
yeah, you can
Oh
get
my
it.
gosh.
I'm like, that's I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and just keep buying it from Amazon. That's a hard price to beat. I get free
I tell
shipping
you.
anyway through
Hmm.
Prime, and so I've been buying copies for my friends who don't have one and they do play Everyday Heroes, or they have the core rule book or something like that.
Hmm.
So I'm always like, hey, here you go. I'm not hinting towards anything, but if you want to play Kong, it'd be pretty cool if you did.
Yeah, that's not subtle.
No, not at all. But that's okay. I'm probably one of the least subtle people in my life.
Oh yeah. Who needs subtlety?
No,
What
I
what is
mean,
what is subtlety?
truth is way better than subtlety. So,
Oh man. But oh yeah. No, I actually since you are an aficionado of not just Rambo but also GI Joe and the GI Joe RPG as well as Everyday Heroes,
mhm,
um, I would love to ask your take on the rules concerning like fortifications, demolitions of demolitions. I know because this game again, like you said, it's very grounded, and Rambo is a Vietnam veteran. This
mhm,
the film and the franchise is set in the midst of that turning point in the Cold War from the late 70s into the 80s, and there's so much in this book about hey, what if you were to have demolition charges on bridges or buildings? How would
mhm.
you make fortifications in a combat zone? Heck, what about wilderness traps like the punji stick you were talking about in First Blood? There
Yeah.
are so many nice, well, like a gaming widgets that you can be adding in here for a very war story cinematic experience. So, what are your takes on that, given uh, your experiences with other games in this genre, in this vein?
Not to kiss Evil Genius's ass, but I think between the two of them, they they handle it a lot more intelligently. Renegade, there are some rules to it, but the character designs in that game, you have the recon characters. They're like the Rangers,
Mhm.
or
Right,
I want
right.
to say they are Ranger, but I think recon's one of the things. So it's like that sniper and all that. It's their class, and I want to, it might even be the commando are like they're the two that are kind of
Hmm.
built towards um, handling and making traps of different kinds. The rest of the classes, they're not. Um,
Hmm.
which isn't to say that you couldn't make a trap expert out of any of the other classes, but you would have to really gear yourself to it and really plot out your character um, in building him towards that way, because and it's
Hmm.
not a very easy thing to do. You actually have to, again, discussing like conditioning. You have to spend the points into getting extra health. One of the features that
Right.
they have is you can spend another point to specialize in something, so you can specialize in demolitions. And so anytime you make
Interesting.
demolition checks, to set up bombs or fortifications or anything like that, you can guarantee yourself a higher results, which is fine. Um, but unless you're playing a Tiger Force game, uh,
Mhm.
does it come up very often? Not too much. It just depends on what group you're playing and the mentality that you're playing in. Um, the the tone that Renegade typically goes for is uh, not the Sunbow era, but kind of a blend between the Marvel comics and the '80s cartoon. That's kind of the tone that they
Huh.
go for in that game, because there's a lot of like the action figure
Mhm.
vehicles definitely show up in that. Unlike and like the current run on um, Image, with Skybound, they don't show up quite as often. IDW, I don't think had a whole lot of the '80s and the '90s vehicles show up. I think they mostly just use like Black Hawks and tanks and normal military vehicles. Um, so it's kind of got that bit of a tone, and again, it depends on who you're playing with, but it seems to me that Everyday Heroes, they really took their time to really figure this out, to do the math on your behalf, and
Mhm.
kind of work with you on that. Renegade is, they work through things really quick, and I'll tell you, I mean, their quality control is pretty lame over there. Um, so they don't quite explain thoroughly enough on how things operate and how things work, and so it's like I'm trying to remember if they even have rules for like if you throw a grenade against a wall, what's the the structural damage to it.
Mhm.
I can't even remember if they even have that kind of stuff in there. They probably might, but off the top of my head, I can't really recall the charts. Um, Funny enough, I'm sitting here trying to pick through my brain, and I'm thinking of the Dinosaurs and Cadillacs RPG, which does have all that stuff calculated because it's like long
Huh.
division and
Hmm.
using certain explosives against people versus structures, and they do the whole math calculation. I'm sitting here like my brain keeps thinking of that formula for some dumb reason. Oh my gosh! So if you're not familiar, I mean, I know you're not familiar. You probably aren't familiar, um, and I've never played it. But oh my gosh, if you go look up the Cadillac and Dinosaur RPG. I think people have done reviews on it on YouTube and
Okay.
Spotify. Yeah, listen to it. It's wild. That's a wild RPG. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, only like one person in the entire world has access to Cadillacs. One guy has all of the Cadillacs in the world, so you will never have a
Right.
Cadillac. Um, yeah, it's fun. Anyway, yeah, no, I certainly, man, certainly the evil genius has a really good handle on it. I think the only other game that I can think of that does demolitions pretty well too would be Green Ronin and Mutants and Masterminds. I want to say that they handle it, and that's actually a conversation I should bring up with them next time I have a chat with them, because they're working on the Valiant Universe adventures,
Oh,
and
cool.
that might be something I want to talk to them because the Valiant comic books they're very military heavy, like Bloodshot, Hardcore, and the
Mhm.
Armorines, even Ninjak. to some extent. That's all very militaristic. So that might be something that's worth really going into exploration of. So I'll have to run that past them and see what their thoughts are on that.
Hmm.
But
Very cool.
yeah, no, I am really impressed with Everyday Heroes. I mean that there's a there's a damn good reason that book is so thick.
Here, here.
They really did their best to leave no stone unturned and no question unanswered. And so of course that really plays into the Rambo RPG in particular, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just oh yeah, right here. I just almost flipped right past it. Page 43. You got the plastiques and timers, things like that. Let's see. Claymore mines. Let's see.
Oh yeah.
M72 Law rocket, flashette rounds, RPG rockets. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a cornucopia of weaponry and equipment for a grounded military saga story
Mm-hmm.
in this book. It is incredible. They did a lot of research into the stuff that was available worldwide during the late Cold War. It's incredibly well researched, and actually, in point of fact, again, just big history geek me. If anyone that wants to buy this book, nudge nudge, hint hint, wink wink, no, we are not getting any money for this.
Yeah.
But I just think everyone that loves this game would love this book.
Mm-hmm.
There actually is a portion of the book called "The World of Rambo," and there's a brief summation of the various wars and conflicts and proxy wars that were going on all across the planet during the Cold War. Now, of
Yeah.
course, the Vietnam War is front and center in anything Rambo related, but there were so many wars that were being fought, and during this time period, the Soviets and the Americans were at the very least watching and backing, if not actively participating in so many of these. So there's so many layers to the history of the time period. If you wanted to do a period piece adventure of Cold War era military adventure, there's so many opportunities to do that. And the page and a half that they've got talking about summarizing various of these wars, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many things happening worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
It really is
Every
amazing.
from let's see, the war in Uganda, Soviet Afghan, Iran Iraq,
Mm-hmm.
Salvadorian
Even the
Civil
Falkland
War.
Islands War.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets about the Falkland Islands War between Argentina and the Brits, but that was a big thing in '82.
Namibian War of Independence,
Mm-hmm.
Nicaraguan Revolution. Oh yeah, Angolan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people forget. All through the late '70s, the Soviets were basically trying to smuggle in revolutionaries all throughout Africa to try and incite already tense political and social situations into open
Yeah.
revolution. It was a massively insane time in the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. And actually looking at the book right now, the Lebanese Civil War, I dated a girl whose mom, she was a refugee and she was a
Mm-hmm.
refugee in America because of that.
Yep.
Her and her then husband, they came to America because of the Civil War. They were, he didn't want to fight in it. He wanted to get his family out because that was right around the time that they got pregnant with their daughters. One was my ex girlfriend, and they got out of there, and that's now. I was with her when she was trying to get her. She was, I think she was green card status, but she was going through the official, like, becoming an official American status when
Mm-hmm. Right.
when she and I were together, that brief moment. So yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, it's crazy how some of these wars overseas can even touch you in your own very personal life, which I never even would have imagined growing up that something like that would ever come across my board or my dashboard. But
Mm-hmm.
I've lived a pretty weird life, man. I've had a lot of weird stuff happen to me, especially in the last year, man. um, just to let everybody give you some insight on what I'm talking about. The very man who decided to put me out of a job was the one who got gunned down in the streets of New York.
Oh my gosh.
So my year started off in national headlines, and my year ended in national
Oh.
headlines. So it's like, oh, wow, it's
Oh.
man, this year couldn't end.
Holy crud.
Yeah, it's just yeah, because the previous CEO, he was gonna keep us open, and he was going to keep us open. He was ready to spend several $1 million to keep us, but then he wound up stepping down because he got busted for selling stock before he reported it to the government. And this is all public stuff, so there's
Right, right.
I
It's been in the
signed
news for a while. Yeah.
I signed an NDA, but there's public stuff. I can talk about whatever's on the public side. I can't tell you the things that they told us behind closed doors.
Right, right.
Not that
And
I,
not asking you to. Don't want to get you into trouble.
yeah, not that not that they told us much
This
of
isn't that kind of
anything.
podcast.
Yeah. This isn't whistleblower time. Yeah, I mean, not that I could tell you much because they didn't tell us much of anything at all.
Right.
But the guy who his name was what was it, Brian. When he took over, he was like, no, you guys we're gonna shut you down, which that's all public. That's public knowledge, and so yeah, that put us out, and he got Super Mario Brothered, and but yeah, so it's that's the kind of life that I live. Weird stuff, man. But so
Crazy
anyway,
days.
yeah, I know, crazy. But we look into this. But looking at this, I mean, the Iran-Iraq war. You know what I mean? Like, we're still dealing with that kind of stuff here in this current day and age. So even if you could set your Rambo campaign in the past, but you could also get away with putting it out now.
Right, where the echoes of these past events are coming home to roost.
Yeah,
A lot of people think that it's quote ancient history. It really wasn't all that long ago in the grand scheme of things. There's
yeah,
still a lot of old memories, a lot of very real events that had a lot of very very big impact on real people.
yeah. And until and they say history always rhymes, but I mean, there's a rhythm. There certainly is a rhythm to history, and unless you take that record off the player, it's gonna keep playing, and you're gonna keep
Hmm.
getting that same thing, and we keep getting you'll find yourself in a situation where the song skips, and it's gonna keep repeating that same line over and over and over again. So sometimes
Yeah,
you have to move the needle in order to make
yeah.
things better.
You gotta learn from your history.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, and so themes, one of the things that they bring up in the book, and it is true even across the movies too. And so I'll read it right here. In truth, John Rambo is the only explicitly patriotic character in the Rambo films, and while he has every reason to question that patriotism, he sticks with it even when he is betrayed by the people and institutions of America. Nonetheless, patriotism is an important keystone of the psychology of any soldier, whether they hold fast to or lose sense of of it says a lot about their character and their thinking, and creating stories with patriotic themes gives players a chance to express how their hero feels about who they are, who they're fighting for, and why. And
Absolutely.
I mean, absolute. I mean, even just in the first movie, the sheriff, instead of just going like, hey, you look like somebody who might have fought in the war, like, let me talk to you about that. He's just like, a lot of people be pissed off about you wearing that flag on your chest, and it's like, why? You
Oh
know?
yeah, that line just made me loathe the sheriff character from the get go.
Oh my gosh, easily. It's like, what do you mean people will hate him for wearing an American flag? Like, yeah, his coat's kind of dirty, but what I mean? Like, there's no, I don't, why would anybody hate, somebody sporting a American flag patch, and then it also just gets revealed later on when him and the colonel are talking at the bar, and he's like, I wanted to kill that boy so bad I could taste it in my mouth, and it was like, dude, seriously, like, what the hell is your fucking deal? Like, the moment you found out he was a soldier, you could have probably pulled back and been like, oh, okay, like, maybe we should handle him with some respect. No, it just, it gave him, like, a bigger hard on to just
Yeah,
absolutely fuck with the guy.
yeah. He you could tell from as soon as he opened his mouth with that line
Mm-hmm.
that the sheriff was gunning for Rambo specifically because the guy was a vet.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
wild.
and like the book says, I mean, when you have a military-based campaign or group of characters, it does one of the big things is going to be, well, how do these characters feel about their service? How do they feel about the nation that they fought for? Do they still revere and believe in the ideals of that nation, even if they may disagree with the people currently running the place? Because that's a nuance a lot of people forget in the real world too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that I think like I said, the character of Rambo is very emblematic of. Just he was expressly patriotic. He fought and suffered a massive amount for his country and its ideals, and he was rewarded by his fellow countrymen with
Disdain.
disgust, rejection, and
Yeah.
cruelty. So yeah, that's the another theme in there. I mean, suffering. It's another part of that theme page here. It is intrinsic to war, the book says, and there are many times when Rambo and others face intense suffering, both physical and emotional, during the films. And now it does say, now be sure you use caution when playing up this particular theme. That's something you want to be sure you know and trust each other as players and game masters. Uh, there's always going to be that question when you do a role playing game.
Mm-hmm.
How what sort of game do people want to play? What's everyone's comfort level? And that's just a matter of being, using some common sense, good communication, clear communication and expectations. But yeah, you're going to talk about a good military themed story. That's going to come up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
wars have, by their very nature, loss and suffering.
Yeah.
As much as a given war may be necessary to prevent a big evil, by its nature, there's going to be a lot of emotion that goes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, that reminded me, another great thing that this CA could be used to do in addition to GI Joe,
Mm-hmm.
the disposables. Oh, sorry, the expendables. The expendables.
Yeah, the Expendables.
Oh yeah, the expendables would be perfect with these additional rule sets on more grounded military gaming. Oh,
See, I'm hoping Expendables is one of the movies, one of the CAs that they pick up in the second season, because
oh, I'd love that.
I
I
I
really would.
I am so down for keeping steady themes of, like, hey, we got a Kurt Russell and a Stallone movie in the first outing. Let's go ahead and let's keep that ball rolling. Let's get Soldier, that Kurt Russell movie Soldier. Let's get that going, and let's
Or
get
Little Trouble in
Expendables.
Big Trouble in Little Chinatown. Wouldn't mind Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
Yeah, same.
But that
Um,
that might be more of an everyday Arcana thing rather than
yeah,
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
and Soldier definitely lends into the intergalactic heroes.
Truth.
So, because that one's all about space travel and genetics and our
Oh
gene
yeah. And I
splicing
and if I remember the Facebook posts about the various sneak peeks into intergalactic heroes, there actually is a tough hero class called the Myrmidon. It's very much like that Kurt Russell movie Soldier. It's about a genetically and like cybernetic implant enhanced super soldier.
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that would also go really well with these themes.
Oh man,
And I tell you, oh yeah,
I can't wait.
that's oh
I'm
yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in the pipeline coming out of Evil Genius in the next few years.
Yeah. I hope they feed. I hope they keep feeding us, because getting the heads up about Return of the Living Dead, it was like, oh, I wish we could say that on this episode, but we don't want to accidentally scoop them just ahead of them
Right,
releasing the letter,
right.
because it just came out like, what was it,
There's
16
something
hours
fun
later?
about being in the know. There's something fun about being in the know for a big announcement like that. That's
Yeah,
just really fun.
it
And I,
is.
I really did appreciate them giving us that little sneak peek. And I was very proud of our restraint. We are a very talkative group, and I was actually a little nervous that either I or one of you guys would make a slip.
Now,
Oh my
okay,
god.
so not on social media, I didn't slip, but I definitely told some of my friends. I was like, "Hey, just let you know," because
Oh
you know,
no. Oh
but
boy.
but they didn't.
Oh,
They didn't. They kept
that's
it.
good.
They kept their mouth shut because yeah, one of them was asleep in bed when I sent him the text. So I was like, yeah, you can't say nothing because I know you're in bed. So so you get to wake up to the news, and of course within like 4 or 5 hours they had put out the letter from when he woke up. But
Right, right. So you effectively didn't spoil it because you knew the guy wouldn't see it before it was actually announced. But yeah.
yeah.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I told my buddy Paul because he was, when I did my interview with him, he really wanted an official cinematic zombie style game, and so I was like, okay, I'll let you know. I'll drop that little truth bomb to get you hyped up and get you ready for it.
That's fair.
So,
Awesome.
sorry, my wife was asking for a towel. I'm blocking a closet. Um,
No.
but But
Yeah.
now I know, and one thing I did because during my research about that too, Return of the Living Dead is the far better choice between the two, because I found out that Night of the Living Dead, because the distributor didn't get it copyrighted, or they failed to do something. They failed to do something to it.
Oh.
It's a public domain title, so anybody
Oh.
can make Night of the Living Dead products. You can make shirts and hats and comic books, but you can't
Okay.
copyright it technically.
Right, because it's public domain. It's the same.
Hmm.
It's the reason why you see so many different writers making Sherlock Holmes novels these days.
Yep.
It once an IP is out there, it's out there,
Yeah.
and you can't put that genie back in the bottle. Not when
Yep.
it's public domain.
Yep. And that's Robert Kirkman's Walking Dead. He was gonna make a Night of the Living Dead comic, but Image was like, yeah, you could, but you're not really gonna make any
You can't
money
really make much money off of it.
because of it being the nature of the public domain title of it, and
Right. You
which is
couldn't
why.
copyright anything you make with that.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And which is why when George A. Romero started making his sequels, it was Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead and Diary of the Dead, because he could copyright those and and collect his royalties from them and all of that. Unlike Night of the Living Dead, which was dead in the water. So again, this I can see why they wanted to go with Return of the Living Dead, because there's Evil Genius can make a little bit of their money off of it. The Living Dead group, I think, is what they're called. I,
Huh.
I think that's the group that they from the article. I believe that's what their name is. Which there's a whole interesting situation going around between them and Linnea Quigley and some of the other former cast members,
Oh
and,
my
and some
God.
people. Yeah, because she's going to be doing Trash's Revenge. It's like a fan made film kind of thing, and like, so there's a whole thing going on with all that. So I'm interested in seeing how that all turns out, because that's a thing we're going to be
Hmm.
seeing throughout this year. um
Now, sorry to interrupt, but I just remembered something. There's something that was absolutely critical that we must be sure we bring up
yeah.
before we finish out the episode,
Yeah.
and that is an Eric Roberts connection.
Oh yeah, shoot, what's our Eric Roberts
So
connection?
he and Sylvester Stallone were in a film together in 1994. It was called The Specialist. It's an action film that's got CIA plots and espionage and attempts to try and silence the person that is using these resources to figure out the secrets of an organized crime syndicate. So you got so Eric Roberts and Stallone are in a film together. Stallone is the only actor to ever play John Rambo on the silver screen. And I'd say just no Eric Roberts connection. Big
Hey,
action movie with Eric Roberts.
I'm kind of surprised Eric Roberts wasn't in one of the Rambo movies.
It would seem
two
up
or
his
three.
alley.
Yeah.
It would be up his alley. But no, I was skimming through his filmography earlier today, and just no Rambo's on his credit, but a large number of other action movies and military themed films. But there was this particular one had Stallone in it, so I thought, hey, Stallone.
No, if no, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Eric Roberts one of the bad guys in Expendables in one of the Expendable movies?
Racking my brain, and let me pull up that filmography one more time. Let's
Okay.
see here. Yes, he is in fact in The Expendables. He is the character of James Monroe in The Expendables in the first one.
Ah, I knew it. So
So
they
that's the
came
second
together.
Stallone. I was so stuck in the Cold War. I went back to the late '80s, early '90s for a film reference for him instead of just going, wait, Expendables. How did I forget that? Oh,
See,
I'm gonna get so much flack from Harlan and Spectral about that.
now this is why we need an Expendables CA in Everyday Heroes. Damn it, so we can have our Eric Roberts
And
in.
our and also in various appearances throughout the franchise, our Schwarzenegger and our Norris and our Banderas.
And we got Bruce Willis, and Jason Statham.
Oh, oh yeah. Oh, there's got to be a transporter thing, especially with the Motorhead class out of the Escape from New York. That would be so epic, a transporter session. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Now I'm jonesing to watch the Expendables movies. Those are so much fun. Those movies are so much
That's
fun.
that's something to binge watch during well, whenever time is available for binge watching.
Yeah.
Schedules are a little crazy these days.
Oh my god,
But
they are.
yeah.
I uh
But mhm.
I get one day off every 2 weeks, so I try to loop it
I
up.
feel that. I feel that. I really do.
Uh,
Ooh. But on that note, I think it probably is a good. I think we're at a pretty good stopping point in terms of length of episode, and that's it. I think we've all become pretty good friends by this point. Any pair of us or trio or all four of us could probably talk for quite literally 2 hours on any given subject.
oh my god,
But
yeah. So sorry. I know we said this is gonna be a Stallone First Blood, but we definitely
we
deviate
we started
heavily.
there. We started there, and we came back to it like 3 or 4 times, but just kind of
You could get
scattered a little
go ahead and just put us in cuffs and lead us out of the damaged police department. All right, just go ahead and do that.
and roll the ending credits. Alrighty. Well, I gotta say, Bro Baron, thank you so much for hosting this and putting this together. And I look forward to when all four of us can get together to dive into the rest of the wise heroes from the vault because they are really good.
I
And
know.
then
Oh
and
my
then we
god.
got the charming hero sets to do from the core and the vault too. So
Mm-hmm.
we're closing in. We're
Uh,
closing in, but we've got so many CA things to do,
mm-hmm.
which I know that we've talked about. Most of the other CAs at least reference them at least once each during the episode today.
Oh yeah.
But
It-
but we got loads still to talk about,
oh my god.
and oh yeah, it would be great. And
We
I mean,
still
heck,
have.
if we could ever if we could ever do another either in person or online on like a follow up one shot from our characters from PAX, that would be
Mm-hmm.
really cool. But oh yeah,
Yeah, and we got Nacho Con is coming up here very soon, isn't
that's
it?
right. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. I was able to get my full schedule for that weekend, so I'm going to be double checking one or two things, and then I should be getting you some my availability for running a game or two.
Okay, that sounds great.
Sweet.
Sweet,
Alrighty.
everybody. Oh
Do you
man.
want since I did the opener? Do you want to close us out tonight?
Sure. We want to thank everybody for sitting with us and listening to us s- derail our
Ramble.
conversations about Rambo, but
We got
Rambo
a
is
Rambo
fun.
ramble. Hmm.
Yeah, Rambo rambles, and rambling minds, and hopefully people found us entertaining and informative. We always try to be that edutainment of the internet. We want to thank everybody, all the new subscribers who've come on. I believe we've pushed past 50, so we've got to figure out.
Great.
I'm pretty sure we said that when we hit 50, we were gonna do our first raffle, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, cool. Okay, that'd be a nice highlight for the next episode.
Yeah, so because we haven't, all four of us haven't really been. Well, we were together for the Wise Heroes since we've hit 50, but we kind of forgot to do it. So we're gonna get all of the first 50 people. Of course, we're gonna subtract ourselves and everybody from Evil Genius who have subscribed. So we'll have to subtract them from it because they don't need their own supply.
I think four of us have bought most of the stuff that's available right now.
Oh my god. Yes, I think we have. So we're gonna get together and do that. Yeah, so please make sure to check out the Evil Geniuses Discord. We've got a bunch of polls that we're gonna be posting up because we've got to catch up on all those. And make sure to leave your thoughts down below. What are your thoughts about Rambo? Did you like Rambo First Blood? Are you interested in watching it after hearing us kind of talk about it? We apologize again for that. But, maybe when we all come back, all four of us come back together, we can have a great big, more directed conversation about, maybe we'll talk about the first three of the Rambos, because that's really what the CA covers is Rambo's 1 through 3.
Right, Rambo in his prime in the Cold War. Yeah.
Yeah. Although old man stuff is kind of cool too.
Oh, that's always fun. That's always fun.
So, thank you, and please click like and subscribe and share our channel with everybody. We are slowly but surely growing, and you know what? I've been seeing a lot of YouTubers like was it Dungeon Craft and some other D&D YouTubers. They're dropping out, man. YouTube's been kind of messing with the algorithm. They're not promoting people's channels quite the same as usual. So, I hate having to say you have to ring the bell in order to keep the notifications. But honestly, we're kind of we're a game of volleyball, or keepy uppy, where that balloon in the air.
Gotta keep the ball in motion.
Yeah, exactly. So we're staying in the air. Slowly but surely, and we're grateful for everybody that's been hopping on board. And we're happy to interact with everybody. I'm sorry to the listener who thought we were gaslighting everybody about the decline of Marvel Disney. But I do not shy away from the fact that you find a lot of Marvel stuff at Ollie's Bargain Discount Store. Anyway, it is awesome again to talk to you. It's great.
Likewise.
We miss the guys who couldn't show up today. They were very busy. But yeah, look forward to our episodes about the last half of the Wise Hero archetypes. And I cannot wait to finish through Charming. And then we're going to get deep diving into Highlander. We're going to be deep diving into...
There can be only one.
Oh my god. But there can't be only one episode. That would be like 30 hours long.
Yeah, seriously, we might have to break the Highlander conversation into 2 episodes. That's going to take a while. But again, yeah, that's great. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening in. And again, and Brobarian, always fun chatting with you.
Likewise. As always, everybody, have a great day, great night, and great shift at work. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.